thank y'all all for being here. Didn't expect to be here this week, but it's reality. It's where we're at. Not pissed. I mean, I think y'all sat close enough to me on game day to know that I'm pretty emotional on game day. Don't like to lose. It's not fun. It's not acceptable. And we won't accept it. The expectations are higher, and especially where we're at in terms of, Frank and I have been together for 4 years and been building this. The expectations are high, and we accept that. And we won't, I won't sit up here and make excuses of why we got our beat in Jacksonville, because that's what happened. We got our beat. It happens, but we got our beat. And in such a, and it's magnified because of the moment. The moment was big. It was for a playoff spot, and it's one that, as a team, we thought we were good enough to win, and at the end of the day, we didn't. Ultimately, that falls on me. That falls on my shoulders. I think the worst thing you can do is start pointing blame, making rash decisions after a season and after a loss that was so hard. Look, there was numerous times during the season. If you just think back, we had our opportunities. I mean, the Ram game, we got the ball inside, I think the one twice. We don't score. Baltimore, big lead. We end up losing the game. Tennessee, the ball's we go to overtime and we throw a pick and lose it. Tampa, we tie the game back up and they go back down and score. The Raider game, I mean, I know Jacksonville was a bad loss, but there was other opportunities during the season that we had a chance to finish it out, and we didn't. We finished 2-5 in one-score games. And, a little bit of that is random, when you just kind of look at the history of it. But, you got to come out on top of and finish with a better record in one-score games. Ultimately, it falls on my shoulders. And it's something that we'll work and go to work and ask some very hard, tough questions over the next month and a half to fix it. And I don't want to ignore, look, I don't want to disrespect Jacksonville either. This is the National Football League. This is there are no layups in this league. No layups. You can't, every team can beat your. Every team can beat your, and they came out and they beat our, plain and simple. Their coaching staff and their players did a tremendous job. I mean, they're on scholarship too now. I mean, and just because their record is what their record was at the time, they came out and they performed and we didn't. Plain and simple. But it didn't just come down to that one game. There was other games where we could have finished the game, and we just didn't get it done. Now, saying all that, I don't want to ignore the good either. I mean, let's just think, sometimes you can go back to reflection points. And this whole thing, one team comes out a winner at the end. Everybody's disappointed at the end, except for one team. And sometimes if you go back and look at reflection points during the season, how you felt and where you were going, there were some times when we felt really good. I mean, I think you'd all agree after Christmas night, after that big win in Arizona, we all felt really good about where we were going. And we just ultimately didn't finish the job. But we had some really big wins on the road this year. The win in Frisco, in terrible weather. You go to Buffalo and win, which is a really hard place to play. We have an unbelievable night here in Indy to beat New England. It was incredible. Our fans are incredible. And then the Christmas night win versus Arizona. So we did some good things. We had players who did great things. Jonathan Taylor established himself as one of the best players in the league. Darius Leonard, reason we re-signed him. The guy had a defensive player of the year caliber year. Michael Pittman emerged. I mean, there was a lot of really good things that came out of this. But ultimately, we didn't get it done. One thing that I've thought a lot about this. You know, failure, we live in a day and age where when you fail, you're done. I mean, like, we cancel everybody's out when they fail at something. And, like, we won't run from the failure, you know, but what we'll do is we'll grow from it. Your greatest moments of growth in anything you do in life come from failure. They don't come from your successes. It's easy when it's sunny outside. I promise you, it is easy. That's when everybody shows up when it's sunny. Everybody jumps on board. But when you have a moment of failures, when you really find out who's with you internally, if what you're doing is right, and we'll examine all of that, but you can have also your greatest moments of growth if you use them. But you have to use them. You have to accept who you are. We're 9-8 football team. That's who we are. That's who we are. I put that team together, and that falls on my shoulders. We'll spend this month. We won't overreact. I've got to let the poison get out, and it's not out yet. And then we'll make a thorough evaluation of everything we're doing. We do that anyways, even when we win. I mean, we post-mortem everything. Every decision we make. I mean, we don't do it like y'all do in the moment where you make a decision and all of a sudden everybody judges that decision on if it's good or bad. You wait until the end, and then you post-mortem everything you do. That's why we have processes in place. That's why we take, you know, copious notes on everything we do, you know, during the time of why we made the decision. And was it right or not? And was there a flaw in the process? And we're not perfect. We're not. We screw things up. It happens, you know, but what we're not going to do is turn a blind eye and have our emotions involved where we're not able to really ask honest, hard questions about why it occurred, why we made the decision. If we made a bad decision and fell short in an area, why did it happen? What were we thinking at the time? And where do we need to go to fix it? You know, that's the great thing about this league. That is one of the great things about this league. There's always a solution. Okay, there is. It's our job to problem solve and find the solution. It might not be the perfect solution. Might not be perfect. It might not be the long-term solution. But there's a solution every year. There's a little timing and luck of getting sometimes long-term solutions to certain positions. But there's a solution for that year coming up. And, you know, that's what we got to continue to work towards and through. Okay? Y'all know me. We'll be here a while. Fire away.
Chris, you sent a first-round pick and a third-round pick to Philly for Carson, and he played his worst 2 games of the year the last 2 weeks. How do you feel about that move right now, and do you want him to be your quarterback next year?
All right, so let me say this. When we made the decision after Phillip retired and we made the decision to make a move on Carson, at the time of the decision, we felt good about it. And I still don't regret the decision at the time. I'm not going to, just sitting here today, just so y'all know, I won't make a comment on who's going to be here next year and who's not going to be here next year. That's not fair. That's not fair to any player. I thought Carson did some good things, and there's a lot of things that he needs to do better. You know, our passing game has to be better. I mean, with a run game, with what Jonathan Taylor and our offensive line was able to do in the run game was really impressive. And, you know, I think the second half of the season, you know, you go through the season and, you know, I always think of it this way. Like that first month is kind of an extension of training camp. And you're trying to figure out, especially when you got so many new pieces, you know, we had a lot of new pieces and a lot of new pieces that were hurt in training camp. So you're trying to figure out who you are, what you do well, and you're still improving. And then, you know, the month of October, you're plugging holes, you're still getting better. And then you hope by the time you get to November and December, you've figured out what you need to do to win. Like, this is how we need to play to win. And I had Frank and the staff did a really good job. And look, it was freaking working. You know, we got on a roll there, and we're playing really good ball up until the last 2 weeks of the season. And look, I don't want to take anything away from the Raiders either. They played their off and beat us too now. And they down the stretch, they had to win every game to win it out, and they did. And so credit to them. But I don't think you can. I think y'all know me by now. I mean, we got processes in place. I'm not going to overreact to to the end of the season ending the way it did. And I'm pissed. I can't sleep at night thinking about it. I mean, we embarrassed ourselves, embarrassed our owner, embarrassed our city. When you put a performance like that out there, and it happens. Like, it's just a moment of when it happened to us. If you look, Buffalo went into Jacksonville, got beat. You throw up it happens in this league. There's too good of coaches and too good of players. Even when a team's going south, they can beat you, and it happened.
Hey, Chris, with that said, though, isn't it a little alarming, though, that because I assume when you give up a first-round pick, you're thinking long-term out of a player. Isn't it a little alarming, though, that you can't say right now, okay, Carson can be our guy long-term since you gave up a first-round pick for him?
I don't know if that's alarming. I don't know if it's alarming. I think the one thing that I think about us is, we're gonna evaluate and do what we think is the best thing for the team and the organization, and we do that with anybody, and that's just kind of how we roll.
5 years into it, do you feel like the way you're building is the right way to continue to build, or do you think tweaks and adjustments need to be made to how you build?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've thought a lot about that, Kevin. I still believe you win the game up front. I think that's real, and that is something that I don't think my belief system will never change. I mean, you got to be good on the O-line, D-line. You have to be. You have to get good quarterback play. All right, and then your rest of your playmakers have to do their jobs. Excuse me. You can move forward with deep conviction that you have. I was listening to somebody talk the other day, and he said this, and I thought it was really good. You can have really deep conviction how you think things need to be built and run, but also have the curiosity and flexibility to change along the way. And I think we've had, because we are a very curious group. We ask questions. We want to grow. All right. And I think we've had some flexibility moments. I mean, look, I know people think we haven't done anything, but look, we did. I mean, look, we traded for Buckner. We traded for Carson. Like, we've made moves, and whether they were right or wrong, we've made moves to make the team better, being aggressive. So we'll examine that. But the one thing I will not change on is O-line, D-line. You win up front. And I thought it was showing, up until the last 2 weeks. And it's hard to overcome those two things when you're not good. It's hard.
So you talked about doing some good things and having what looked like a strong team all the way through. How do you square that with the last 2 weeks? Because I know that's the hard part here. But as you move forward, which team are you? Do you have a sense?
I tend to lean more towards. The one thing I know we can do, and we've done it consistently. We're like the last couple of years in scoring defense. I know we finished in the top 10. I know we'll take the ball away. We've done that every year. Whether we finish first or second in the league every year, maybe not. But we'll finish in the top 10 because that's who we are, and we got guys that can do that. I know we're going to be able to run it. I mean, we got a really good run blocking O-line without question, and we have a staff who schemes it up really good, and we have a runner that is really a special player, really special, and those are things I know are real and help you win games in this league. Our passing game has to be better. There's a couple things that I know we have to be better at. And look, this falls on me. Our passing game has to be better. Just has to be. And on defense, we've got to be able to rush the passer better. I mean, it's a passing league. You got to be able to affect the passer, and you got to be able to throw it. But I'll say this: I don't think. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's what it's what we ended with. But I think it always lies somewhere in the middle. It's never as bad as it seems, and never as good as it seems. When we were 9-6, and everybody's shouting it up as we're a Super Bowl team, that's probably over the top. And then now we lose these last 2 games and we just suck. Well, that's probably over the top too.
Okay, we're going to go Zoom now.
All right, Charlie Clifford.
Hey, Chris, how do you feel you handled the backup quarterback spot this year and the plan going forward at kicker? Maybe you don't want to get into specifics, but is there a solid plan there?
All right, backup quarterback. Yeah, I mean, we had, with Eason, and, unfortunately we ended up releasing him, but we like Sam, and we like Ellinger. He's made of all the right stuff. We thought he had a pretty good preseason. And, we think he's definitely a guy that, that's made of all the right stuff. Whether he's good enough, we still got to find out. And then, having Hundley was a little bit of a surprise, but when we got him in here, we just thought his skill set fit well as a backup because he can run and create. He's a vet, and he is an unbelievable pro. Like every day he is in the building, working, studying. He was really great for the group. And then in terms of the kicker, like Rod was, God dang, man, he gets hurt in pregame versus Baltimore. He gets hurt in pregame. And has a bad game because of it. It is what it is. He missed the extra point, missed the game-winning field goal, gets a field goal blocked, and we put him on IR and we bring Badgley in. Badgley ended up having a pretty good season. I wouldn't say elite, but it was good, and it never really stung us. So we'll work through it. We still think Rod has upside. I do, and I like Badgley. So we'll work through the kicker spot as we go. It's too early to say exactly what we'll do, but we like both of those guys.
All right, Matt, go ahead again.
Greg Doyle.
Hey, Greg.
Chris, hi. Thanks for doing this for us as always. Your quarterback slot, and I'm aware you're not going to cut anybody today or extend anybody today, but as you look at it, is every possible avenue open to you as you look for that solution you referred to, or does the situation around you, free agent, class your assets, does that limit some of your choices?
I think that's a good question. I think we'll look at everything, and there's always some, it's like I said earlier, there's solutions, sometimes they're not ideal, but there are solutions, sometimes they're long-term, sometimes they're not. But I think we'll look at everything.
Go one more, Matt.
All right, Bob Kravitz.
Hey, Chris. Historically, you've not been super aggressive when it comes to big name, big dollar free agents. Will that philosophy or approach in any way change in the years to come?
I think it just depends. I would tell you Buckner, he wasn't a free agent, but that costs a lot of money, Bob, and he's one of the top paid D tackles in the league. So whether it's tagged a guy we traded for or whether it's a guy we, signed as a free agent, I think are different. I think y'all know my philosophy on free agency, and I think it all depends on who the player is and does he fit us. Just to go sign a free agent because y'all are clamoring for one, I think we know some of the suggestions in the past. Those would have been really good. So I think it's a case-by-case basis on what we want to do. I don't think signing big-name free agents always equates to winning. It's signing the right free agents that equates to winning.
Chris, you know how this works. The quarterback's always going to get the back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you said Carson's had some good and he had some bad this year. What were the areas that were alarming to you that maybe you weren't too happy with?
This is good. I talked to Carson about this yesterday. Let's make the layups. make the layups. You know, the throw from against Arizona was incredible. It was incredible. There might be 2 or 3 other quarterbacks in the league can make it. You know, but let's make the layups. You know, those highlight throws are great. And look, Carson wants to win. He's got a will to win. And, you know, sometimes when you carry that, you know, that burden where you think you got to go make a big play all the time, sometimes you just, let's let the team help you. Make the layups. Make the layups.
Is that fixable though? I mean, he's done that his whole career. He told us throughout the season that he was always going to toe the line.
Mm-hmm.
Can you fix that if Carson is your quarterback here next year?
I think that's something we got to work through. I got to work through it with Frank and the staff.
Chris, you're not the quarterback's coach, obviously, but and you don't have to be one to see his mechanics sometimes are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be related to some of the accuracy. He's been playing quarterback a long time. I know he knows good mechanics. Can you rein him back in on that at all?
It's a good question. So when Andrew was here, no Andrew Luck questions, by the way. I'm just bringing an example. It's just an example. We spent a lot of time with Tom House, and when he talked about accuracy and throwing, it always just kind of made sense to me of where it's not as much of the arm slot as it is the head, you know, when your head gets on and off. And, I think when you watch the really accurate quarterbacks in this league, they're really fundamentally sound. So I do think the accuracy can get better. But you got to, you can drill it. But when you get in the game, you usually revert back, unless it's just been, something that you can really change. So I don't know if I can tell you. Can it get better? Yes.
Chris, you guys and Frank talk all the time about leadership, culture, and blue card guys, and you brought in a lot of good guys. I don't think anybody would argue that. But the reality is, you have 1 playoff win in 5 years and no division titles, and that you're not here to bring in good guys you don't win. How do you reconcile that? And have you thought about that in the last couple of weeks and months about how you built this team and how it ended the last 2 years?
Yeah, I have. We won't change on the type of people we bring in. That won't change. That's what we stand for, and that's what we'll continue to do. And you're right, in 5 years. At 17, I kick out. I mean, it counted, but is what it is. But over the last 4 years, we've been in the playoffs twice. We've only won 1 playoff game. We haven't won a division. It's not good enough. Not good enough. We haven't done it. We haven't completed it. At the end of the day, I think we got a lot of really good players and really good pieces. You've got to get stability at the quarterback position. You have to. We have to have stability there. And, and that position has to play up to his potential to help the team win. And don't get me wrong here. Don't sit here and I ain't blaming all this on Carson. All right? I'm not. Because everybody else got to do their jobs too. But the hyper importance of that position, it's real. It's real. And, you got to get consistency there. And the years we've gotten it, we've been pretty good. And we thought we had it until the end of the season. So that's just something we guys continue to work through.
Given your emphasis on the defensive line, and you guys had fewer sacks this year than you ever had previously, why haven't you been able to get the pass rush? What's gone wrong with the evaluation of drafted players? What do you have to do to make the pass rush?
Well, let me say this. So, I'm going to phrase this. There's some things that I would tell you, like Tyquan Lewis is a good player. I think when you take we haven't taken any, other than Quiddy this year, which we think Quiddy's going to be really good. He's going to develop and he's going to be good. I feel really good about the pick. Everybody else was in the second round, and all of a sudden, do we wish they probably would have been a little more productive? Kamoko has the injury issues. I think he ended up with 5.5 sacks this year. Taekwon, unfortunately, this is when you're looking up and your luck's not going right. Taekwon's having a pretty good year. He picks a ball, blows a knee out, he fumbles. We're up 14-0 against Tennessee. At worst case, we're about to go up 17, maybe 21. Next play they score and it's 14-7. That's when your luck's not, you're just not getting the right luck at the time. It's something we'll look at, though. To expect a defensive, we just want them to come in and play really good football, be consistent, be part of the wave. You got to have 8 of them. And I felt as that, I didn't do a good enough job of making sure we consistently had the right 8 this year. It's something we'll work on, but you got to have 8 of them. And, to think the next one's going to be the next Dwight Freeney, or Robert Mathis come out of the boat. I don't know if that's always being realistic. Something we shoot for? Yeah, but, Taekwon's been a good player for us, and when he's played, he's been good. And it's something that we drafted 2 guys last year that we think both got upside, and we like them, and they played pretty good football this year. But we've got to be better rushing the passer. We do.
You said it's not just about the quarterback. There's other issues. Where's your wide receiver room right now beyond Michael Pittman?
Pascal's a good football player. He had 640 yards a year ago, or 660 yards. He had over 600 yards 2 years in a row. I know everybody. T.Y. Hilton, he had 750 the year before, and now unfortunately he had the injury. But, you can see, he's still, T.Y. is the smartest football player, I think, one of the smartest I've ever been around. And he still knows how to play. And we got some young players in Patman who made the big play at the end of Arizona. Doolin had his moments of making, some really big plays for us this year. And Michael Strawn has got really good upside. So, I think we got good young talent. I think when we committed, when you look at the number of passes we had, I think when we started to really commit to the run the second half of the season is when you saw some of the production fall off of some of those guys. And then I don't want to take it off like Hines, like Naheem. Naheem's a good player. We got to get him more involved. And we got to get him touches. I think his catch total went from 63 to 38, right in that range. We got to get him involved. So I think when we started committing to the run, some of that production fell off, some of those guys.
Hang on one second. We're going to go, Matt. Go ahead on Zoom.
All right, Taylor Tannenbaum.
Hey, Chris. Just curious, the conversations you've had in the last couple of days with Jack Doyle and T.Y. Hilton, and what your expectation is time-wise, and if they do decide they want to come back, where you guys stand on that?
Yeah, I haven't talked to T.Y. yet. Okay, so, but I love him. He's an unbelievable Colt. He's an incredible person. He has grown. It's been unbelievable. So, and we have not either one of us have talked or made any decision about what his future is going to be. Jack Doyle and I did talk. He's going to take about a week or two, think it through. He's a very valuable member. He can still play, but at the end of the day, he'll make a decision on what he's going to do going forward. And with respect to both of those young men, I don't want to get deep into what our talk was, but we'll know more here in the next couple weeks.
Go ahead, Matt.
JJ.
Hey, Chris, you talk about that core of players and talent on this team. How does that help you in moving forward and in trying to fix some of the issues that you've talked about here?
Well, this team's not devoted. It's not like we're in a startup. We got to start over here. We got a lot of good players on both sides of the ball, and a lot of them coming back. We'll continue to like what we do every offseason, and starting now. We evaluate our team. We evaluate every player in our team, A to Z. Everything we're doing, how we're coaching them, evaluate our staff, evaluate what we're doing in every department. All right, then we'll meet and we'll chart our course of, where are the areas we think we need to get better and how are we going to do it. And is it going to be through the draft or is it going to be through free agency? And that's kind of the same approach we'll take going forward. I mean, I feel good about – I mean, I think, the left tackle is what the left tackle is. I mean, we short-term fixed it. We've still got to be looking for a long-term solution there. And if we have to short-term fix it again because a long-term solution doesn't show up, that's what we'll do. But I feel good about our offensive line going forward. Tight end position needs work. We got, depending on what Jack does, Mo Alley's up, and we like Mo. Like to get Mo back. And then we got a young kid in Kylan who we thought showed some things, and he'll continue to grow. And then, at wideout, we'll kind of see how things shake out. But we do got some young players there, and Michael Pittman's we think he's going to even continue to get better as we go forward. We like our runners. On defense, we've got to add to the defensive line. I told you we got to have 8. We got good linebackers. I feel good about that. The injury to Blackman, that hurt. That stung. Because, I don't know if you remember now, Blackman was playing good ball. He was playing good football. The game versus Tennessee, where they got after us pretty good up there, he eliminated a lot of Derek's runs with one-on-one tackles in space. I don't think he had a run over in that game over 12 yards, and a lot of that was because of Blackman. And then at corner, look, you're always going to be looking to add at corner. But, I didn't think our guys, they played good football. That Rock took another step. Thought Isaiah grew up. Kenny Moore had a really good season. Probably didn't play his best ball at the end, but he played really good football. So the cupboard's not bare. Like, we're not dealing with a bare cupboard here.
Yeah, but that being said, in light of what you just saw the last 2 games, can you say the future of this team is bright until you figure out what you're doing quarterback? Why or why not?
I think you still figure. Look, we went 9-8. We didn't finish 5-11. If we'd have sit here and finished, 5-11, 5-12, I think we'd have a different discussion. We were 9-6 after Christmas. We melted down at the end. So whatever course we take, we'll do whatever we think is the best interest to help us win going forward.
And you made a mention. Clearly, Frank has had a big voice in the quarterbacks the last few years with Phillip and Carson. Whatever direction you guys go, how much say will Frank have in this?
Well, he's the head coach. He's the head coach and he's the OC.
But with that said, though, it was clear the guy he wanted this year struggled at times.
He's still the head coach and the OC. Frank will have a big say in it.
Jonathan Taylor obviously had a great year leading the league in rushing, and Frank has talked about him as the identity of the offense. And I'm curious if you think that a running back can be the identity of a championship offense in this age of the NFL, and if so, how do you get this team there when you have a guy who just led the league in rushing, but you're out of playoffs?
Well, what I would tell you is I would think that looking at Tennessee, who we have great respect for, Derrick Henry, even though they ended up doing well without him, but, Derrick Henry's kind of led them. I think, look, you got to find – there's a way to win every game. You figure out the way to win the game, no matter what it is, all right? Y'all might not agree with it, but you find a way to win a game. And if that means we're running it, then that's what we do. If we think that's the best course of action for us to win, that's what we'll do. If it means throwing it 60 times a game, then that's what you do. You do whatever you think is best to win the game. Do I think you can feature? Do I think you need to throw the ball to win? Yes, I do. Absolutely. But do I think Jonathan Taylor can be a major focal point? Absolutely. The guy's special, man. The guy is special. What luck. I wish I could tell you he's a genius, but, you got to get a little luck in this deal now. We look up and he's still there in the draft in the second round. It takes a little luck. The guy is tremendous. And I don't think we've seen the best of him. I don't. I think he's going to continue to get better.
Is there room in one offense to maximize a player like that and Naheem Hines?
Yes. Yes. We've done it. Did it last year. Taylor had, 1,300 yards last year. Yeah.
Given how much injuries happen at that position with Jonathan, how do you balance
That's a fair question. That's a good question. And I think the volume did get so big at the end. I don't think it worn down, but it's something we'll keep an eye on and and make sure that we're balancing out his carries over time. That's a that's a fair question.
You need to add a running back who's better at reading spell him a little better.
I mean, look, Naheem's pretty good. I mean, even when he carries it, y'all watch the Jet game? I mean, he's pretty good. And we got another young kid, Jackson, that we like and showed real promise, ended up playing on teams for us. So I wouldn't expect that to be a high priority.
Chris, as we sit here, I don't know if it's fair or not, but you're looking going into the offseason sort of having the same issues you had put into this year. Left tackle, quarterback, pass rush. Maybe, I don't know whether you want to call it depth or another high-end receiver. What's the level of concern that here you are again to do the same things that you didn't quite get done last offseason?
All right, so with the pass rush, we did draft 2 young players. Now, I know y'all all want them to be Deacon Jones right off the bat. That ain't real. All right, let's let these young guys develop. Then we got some good young players there. The left tackle is what the left tackle is. We've got it. We need to find a long-term answer. I wish I could tell you we would. Like I tell y'all every year, I could draft one just to make y'all happy. And y'all'd be all up. Here's the long-term answer. But it's got to be the right guy. It's no different at quarterbacks. It's got to be the right guy for it to be the long-term answer. So I do think the D-line thing, to me it comes down to adding more. You need 8. You need a wave. You got to have 8. And plus to get through the attrition of the season. I mean, Lewis was a big loss for us because what he was able to do inside, outside for us, and he was really coming on and playing really good football. So that's something we got to continue to work on. And it's not they're hard positions to fill. I mean, they are. That's real.
Chris, you guys had 7 Pro Bowlers, obviously didn't make the playoffs. How much, if any, is that indictment on your coaching staff and job?
No, I ain't. Good players, man. I mean, I'm not, but we weren't perfect. I mean, I definitely got my hand in this. Our coaches we got a good coaching staff, and they do a good job. And I think you can tell. I mean, Flus is interviewing at a couple places, so people are noticing, the work he's doing. So no, I don't. 7 Pro Bowlers, that's great. Those are individual honors. At the end of the day, team. We have 10, and it wouldn't matter. I mean, it comes down to winning, getting into playoffs, and having a chance to go win a Super Bowl. And we didn't get that done. Not right now, but we're still evaluating. We're still working through all that. There's a lot of change, going on through the league. So you just give us a little time. We're evaluating. We'll work through that.
Buck said he doesn't anticipate surgery with the knee. What about Rock? I mean, it's sort of like he sort of got lost. Was that a significant injury for Rock?
I think he might have to undergo a procedure, but it's not major. No, it's not a major. Coming out of the game and out of the season, I don't know if we have, I'm sitting there thinking off the top of my head, I don't think we have any major, anything major, which is good. I hope I'm not wrong there.
We're going to go 2 on Zoom. Matt, go ahead.
All right, Charlie Clifford.
Chris, you mentioned the layup comment. For you, is that the core of Frank's offense? When we've seen Andrew and Phillip in the past, it seems like that's been kind of the peak of Frank in terms of passing offense. Is that the foundational piece for you?
I think that you got to be able to get the ball out of your hands quickly, and that's sometimes why it's so hard to rush the passer in this league because offenses they get the ball out. You got to be able to get the ball out and take the easy completion when it comes, and that is a big part of Frank's offense. I think last year we were the run after catch, and we got guys that are good after the catch. I mean, they're good players after the catch. I mean, Naheem's good at it. Pittman's good at it. Zach's been good at it. These guys are good after the catch. So we got to be able to get them the ball where they can, when you can get it to them quick and get it in their hands quickly and let them use their size and strength or their quickness to get yards down the field. I mean, I think the one thing, and I've said this every year to y'all, like we spread the ball. In this offense, they spread the ball around. And that's been the case every year. It's probably a little more unusual this year. Usually the ball gets spread around pretty good.
Bob Kravitz.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, Chris. Hey, how you doing? The Premier League has done some studies that have shown the impact of COVID on performance. And I know you don't want to make any excuses, but you had that late run of COVID positives. Do you think that had any impact on the collapse the last 2 weeks?
I won't use that as it hit us. It hit everybody. Everybody was dealing with it. I mean, I think it's a possibility maybe, but every team's dealing with it. So it is what it is.
Thanks.
I know you want to let the young guys develop on the defensive line, but you mentioned adding there a lot. Was there any regret not adding a veteran to that group? Do you think that's something you need to do this offseason?
That's a good question. We lost really two good vets in Justin and Danico, good players, good people, good fits. Yeah, it'll be under consideration. Yeah.
I know you're close with Frank, but 4 years into his head coaching run, how would you evaluate the job he's done?
He's a good head coach. He's good football coach. We really only had the one losing season at 7-9, which was my doing, not his. We've had different quarterback, every year, and we still find a way to be really competitive and a good football team. So I think he's really good as a head coach. And I think anybody that questions that, this guy's good, man. He's a leader. He has a plan. He's flexible. He's aggressive, but also knows when to dial it back. Lucky to have him. We're lucky. Promise you, we're lucky to have Frank Wright.
Your defense, you talked about the takeaways, which were phenomenal. On the whole, though, how do you evaluate it? Because, is that enough? Are the takeaways enough?
Scoring, number one. Did they score a bunch of points against us? I think we finished 9th in the league in scoring defense. That's number one. Like you can look at all them sacks, all those other stats, sacks, yards attempt. Did they score? Did they score? Do I want it a little better? Yeah. But I think we finished in the last 2 years in the top 10. There's things we need to be better at. Okay, we need to affect the passer. I thought when we started playing more man-to-man defense down the stretch and more match, the completion percentage and the quarterback's QBR rating wasn't quite as high as it was early in the season. And that's something I know Flus is looking into. And those are things we definitely got to get better at. We were pretty good with the explosives this year. I think we finished 8th and 9th in the league, so better. But we've got to, and then we took the ball away. Like, I can't, that's a big thing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there were some key drives where you couldn't get off the field. And I think, honestly, that may be the difference, a big difference in your season. What do you make of that?
Yeah. At the end, yeah, there was. Look, you can look. Baltimore, we need to get a stop. But I think it all plays hand in hand. Like, against the, Tampa, we need to get the stop. But then the first Jacksonville, we do get us, we get the sack, to win it. And I think that evens out over time. But I think it goes both ways. Like, all right, let me give you an example. So, like, there's always these leverage points in the game that are big leverage points where you got a chance to win it. So, Raider game, bad first half, but we come out and I think, we take I think we go up 17-14. Darius makes a great interception. We got the ball on the plus 40 going in. We get no points. Like that was a huge leverage point in the game when we got a chance to put a dagger in them and we didn't do it. And it was there. We didn't do it. So understand at the end of games, but sometimes you got to take advantage of those leverage points so it doesn't get to that at the end of the game. But yeah, that's you need when you need to finish. We got to do a better 2-5 and 1-score games. I mean, we got to do a better job finding out a solution of how we finish these games.
Chris, how much will Carson's cap situation for this upcoming season influence your decision?
That's always an influence, but we Mike Bloom, we've done a really good job in that area, and Mike Bloom is outstanding at his job, and we got room, plenty of room. He's done great work with our cap.
But you have talked about the challenge of having a new quarterback every year and how expectations rise. So how will that history play into this decision?
That's good. It's a really good question. I'd like to quit band-aiding it. I'd like for Carson to be the long-term answer, or find somebody who's going to be here for the next 10 to 12 years. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, man. I mean, I can dream about it and wish about it and do everything I can to figure out the solution, but you do the best of what you can do at the time that you have to make a decision. That's how you do it.
Chris, from a leadership standpoint from the players, you guys seem to respond really well when your back's against the wall and people don't believe in you, but
That's a great question.
struggle a little bit when they're in front. Is that something this team needs to learn how to do?
That's a great question. I hadn't even thought of it. That's a great question. I mean, twice since I've been here, we're 1-5. We bounced back and made playoffs. We're 1-4. Everybody's got a dagger in us, and man, and the stretch wasn't going to get easy. Like in that stretch, you've got New England, you got Buffalo, you got Tampa, you got Arizona. I mean, it's a stretch where the season could go, and we're all of a sudden you're finishing the game 4 or 5 wins. I don't have an answer for that. Being honest, I don't have an answer. But you've made me think. So maybe at our next time we talk, I'll have a better answer for that. But that's a good question, and something that we probably need to think through.
Do you expect to get the Quentin Nelson deal done before the start of the season?
Yeah, we'll work. I am with these contracts. We'll work through it. Look, Quentin's a Colt. Want him to be a Colt long term, but when we do the contract, we'll work through that.
Chris, was that the first time that you guys had met with Jim Irsay right after a season ended that quickly? And did that just put it in perspective of, kind of his frustration that you guys shared as an owner?
Well, look, we all shared in the frustration. It was the first time, so we landed, and then we drove right to Jim's office, and we met and had a really good discussion for about an hour and a half. Look, I talk to Mr. Irsay after every game. I don't meet in his office after every game. So Jim wants to win. I mean, I'll never work for a great owner, man. He cares about this city, wants to do well. He's competitive. He's prideful. And I handle it doing well, because I promise you, as hard as he is on me, I'm every bit as hard. And I don't run away when I screw it up or I have a problem. I got to fix it. Like, it's okay to sit up here and admit when you're wrong, but freak, you got to go fix the thing, or they'll find somebody else to fix it.
You've long been appreciative of his ability to be patient, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you took over in 17, that was the discussion, right? This is going to take some time.
Yep.
Is his patience where he's been?
We still, philosophically, this is what I love about him. Philosophically, we agree on how teams should be built, unequivocally. And what we got to do is find a way to be more consistent, where every time I think we're there, we go 11-5, we lose a really tough playoff game, and I think we're there. And then the next year we do something to not get back and to get a consistent playoff run going. That's what I've got to figure out. That's my job. I love his passion. I love working for him. And he cares. I'd rather work for somebody that cares and is up front instead of, like, you look around the league and leaks. And no, man, if you got an issue, let's deal with the issue, in front of each other, and let's not leak it to the media. Let's not, play these. I don't deal in. I'm not good in a world like that. I need the truth. When I'm not doing it good enough, tell me, and let's find a way to fix it and see how I can improve.
Chris, you've pretty vocal about wideout over the years and how, whatever, 1,000 of them. Do you feel like that position needs upgrade? Because Hilton, Haskell, free agents, Harris, the injury history is the injury history. Do you feel like it needs upgrade?
No, I mean, we got good young players. Like, y'all didn't ever think Pittman was going to be any good, and all of a sudden he's pretty good. I mean, I remember y'all questioning that. Well, I don't know if he's, I think every year we're trying to upgrade every position if we can. Would I like two or three dynamic? Absolutely. Absolutely you would. But I think we've got some good young players to work with. So I guess we'll see what happens here, going forward.
What held Strawn back from playing?
Just wasn't ready. Really talented guy now. I mean, and we got high hopes for him. But I think the year off, not playing, small school, the adjust, like I'll tell you, the one position that I think is hard when you come into the league is wide out, because one, these corners are really good. And then the D coordinators are really good disguising the coverage. And then in our offense, the adjustments that you have to make on the run, that it just was all new to him. Like him, got upside, think he's got a bright future. And we'll see. This will be a big offseason. Let me just tell you this. And this falls on Frank and I. And the uncertainty of last year affected it, but we will have an offseason. You can bet on that. They don't want to show up, fine, but we're going to be here. And, guys that want to win are going to be here. I mean, we're going to have an offseason.
Matt, go ahead on Zoom.
Bob Kravitz.
Yeah, Chris, I know we're talking here about the future, but as you've had time to reevaluate, what do you think happened in the last 2 weeks of this season?
I'm not there yet, Bob. I mean, we lost a tough game to Las Vegas. And then we got our beat by Jacksonville. I mean, I wish I had an answer for you right now, and I don't. I feel better about the answer for Vegas, because it's like I talked about earlier. There's some leverage points in the game that we just didn't take advantage of, and we let them hang around, and then they made a play at the end. The effort in Jacksonville, sometimes you get your beat, man. We got our beat. I wish I had for the fans and for everybody to say, hey, can you pinpoint what I don't have that. I wish I could. I don't. I'm being honest. I don't have it. We got our beat.
Anyone else?
Y'all got it. I mean, look. You had 53 you wanted to ask. I give y'all this time, man.
Talk about offseason. I mean, I know there was a range of approaches last year, but you had a big change at quarterback and all that. Did you guys? How much do you think it affected you, or at all? I mean, especially when guys miss so much training camp.
Yeah, COVID. The indecision, all the stuff we were having to do with COVID. The guys waiting outside. I mean, we just couldn't get our heads wrapped around it. And looking back on it, we probably should have been more flexible and found a way to do it. Is that an excuse of why? No. But I think you need to, I think every step along the way matters. I think off-season matters. I think OTAs matter. I think that time between the summer getting ready, training camp, every step of the way matters. Is there a little different way we could probably, maybe do OTAs and stuff to make sure everybody stays? I mean, look, the goal is to be healthy going into the season. Yeah, so we'll work through that. But you've got to be together. You got to work. This game, it takes what it takes to win. It does. I told the team this the other day. It takes what it takes. there's no magic pill for winning. There's not a magic pill we can all take and make everything good. It takes sacrifice. It takes accountability. It takes discipline. It takes coming together as a team. Like, all that matters. And if anything, if any of it's off, it's like it's Coach Dungy. It's death by inches, man. Death by inches. And that's why we got to figure out why we bled out in Jacksonville. We got to figure that out.
Look, I know it's not a popular question, and I know what you're probably going to say, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You had a lot of unvaccinated players. A lot of them got hit late in the season. What is your reaction, if at all? It must have crossed your mind.
Right, it did. I mean, look, it sucked. I mean, look, our guys, I'll give our guys credit. They worked at it. They worked their ass off at it. And but at the end of the day, down the stretch, I mean, it got us. It got us. And they worked hard to try to avoid it. But unfortunately, this new variant you can try to avoid it all you want. It got us. But look, that's not, every team's dealing with it. And I know the unvaccinated part. Would I rather everybody have been vaccinated? Absolutely. I think we were pretty clear on that. But they chose not to, and they did all they could to avoid it. But at the end of the day, it ended up getting us at the end.
Familiarity has played a role in some of the people you brought in, and both players and coaches. Sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't. Does it seem to play less of a role in terms of the evaluation, like whether or not you or Frank have worked with somebody before?
Well, I mean, all right, so let's go down the list here. So Phillip, okay, Carson, Fisher. Who else? Good coaches. Good coaches. Yeah, they're good football coaches. I don't know if that's a fair assessment that we're just bringing in people. I mean, sure, me and Jonathan Taylor went to University of Wisconsin, but that didn't have any influence on. I mean, I'd drafted him if he was it wouldn't matter. I mean, I'll say this. Frank didn't have any connection with Strouser. Pretty good football coach. He didn't have any connection with Eberflus. That worked out pretty good. I mean, you're always going to have some type of connection with somebody in the building. Ed Dodds and I have a relationship for 30-something years, but no one else on the staff did. I mean, Morocco. But they're all really qualified. This is not nepotism. This is not cronyism going on. No, we don't look. We all got to perform. Everybody's getting evaluated. Okay.
Ed and I believe Morocco also getting some interest. Do you have any insight there? And Ed has had a lot of interest. What do you envision down the road for him?
Well, look, do I think they're both qualified? Absolutely. They're talent. I mean, I tell you, I'm lucky. I got a very talented group. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Tell me one team in the league is perfect in valuations. We're not perfect, but these guys are really talented. They're more than capable. They're going to be GMs at some point. I think they'll both be very patient, and they know that they love working here. We love working together. We all grow. We all make each other better. There's nothing better. I was telling, I can't remember who I was talking to yesterday. Like, it's like the title, like when you walk in my office, it says general manager. But that's not, like, you earn respect not because of the title. You earn respect because of the work you do and how you treat people. But getting people, that's why I don't mind y'all. I mean, at least I know you'll be honest and you'll give it to me. Like, because of the title, getting people to really tell you what they think, that's what our guys will do. Like, none of our guys are afraid to challenge. Like, even when it sucks and I don't want to hear it and I don't want to, I'm in one of those moods that day and I just want to shut my door and watch tape, they'll tell me what they think. That's valuable. That's very valuable. And, we don't have to agree. That's okay. But usually you'll come to good solutions and good decision making when you have that. And I think both of those guys are very valuable in that area, and why they're going to be really good, GMs. Now it comes down to fit and a lot of competition to get them. There's only 32 of these jobs, but both of them are excellent.
Along the same lines, if Eberflus were to get a head coaching job, it sounds like the team has already shifted a little bit, so more man. Would you try to get somebody from Fluch's line? Would it be?
I mean, like this league, like 3-4, 4-3. I mean, my whole thing with the 3-4. I mean, everybody ends up in nickel and dime defense anyways. I mean, you end up with a 4-man front. I mean, that's where you end up. So no, I mean, look, Frank and I would, Mr. Irsay, we'd talk through it and figure out which way we wanted to go. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't have to be from a specific tree. No.
You said that your defense will get takeaways, and I know they've done that so far, but over time that has not stayed with teams as much. There's only been 2 teams since 2006 to be in the top 10 3 years in a row. So I'm curious why you think your group can do that and what goes into building that.
Well, we've done it 4 years in a row right here. Have we been in the top 10 every year since Flus has been here? Tell me if I'm wrong. And then when I was in Chicago, if you go through from a stretch from 2005 to 2012, similar defense, similar style, we were up there. I think 1 year we had an off year. I think it was 2008. But we've been in that range. I mean, like I said, 33 might be the outlier number, but I think the way we play, the players we have, the way they strip at the ball, I think it could go off some, but we're pretty good at it, and we've been in the 20s every year since Flus has been here.
You guys, whatever you do quarterback, whatever you do change-wise, the pressure's going to ramp up. There's pressure every year, but it's going to be different next year. Do you agree with that?
I go.
Does that enter your mind? You feel that?
Nope. Go back to process. We'll go back to do what we do. No, because let me tell you something. You start changing and don't go back to the things you believe in and process you believe in, then what do you really believe in anyways? What do you believe in? No.
Just left tackle long term, would Nelson be?
No. Why would you move a Hall of Fame left guard to left tackle? It just makes no sense to me. Makes no sense. And he's not. And look, he's got a ways to go to be a Hall of Fame player. But why would you move a great player to left tackle? I mean, no, we're not doing that.
Could Matt Pryor be a short-term fix there?
Maybe.
And did you learn anything from finding him about finding swing tackles, that kind of thing, developing depth at tackle?
I give our pro staff a lot of credit for Pryor. I mean, that was a good trade for us, just flipping picks, getting him at the cut down. Now we like Matt. And let me say this about Eric. I mean, I know at the end, the pass pro stuff, he had some struggles, but guys, 7, he fights his ass off to get back off an Achilles. Ends up playing pretty decent football without an off season, without being here. Really good in the run game. We're asking him to do different things from a pass protection standpoint that he really didn't get a chance to work on. And look, I think Fish will tell you that there's moments in pass pro that he should be better. But Fisher got a lot of good football left in him.
Everyone good? Okay.
We sure.
The only other one I had was, is there any concern with Darius's ankle being chronic?
Good question.
Some of Quentin's injuries.
No, I think we're good. And Darius worked his ass off too, and he played. I think you saw it early in the season. He wasn't quite right, but he was fighting through and playing. And but no, it doesn't look like it at this point. And no, both of them. It looks like at this point both of them have entered. I know Quentin is. Quentin's good for coming into it healthy and in good shape. Doing good. I'm not going to make that. Come on, man. How many injuries have we been through? He's doing well. He's doing well, though.